Today, we're going to focus on the iPod Mini.
On February 24th, 1955, Stephen Paul Jobs was born to an unwed graduate student in San Francisco, California.
My biological mother was a young, unwed graduate student, and she decided to put me up for adoption. She felt very strongly that I should be adopted by college graduates.
During high school, Jobs met the future co-founder of Apple Computer, Steve Wozniak, who at the time was working at Hewlett-Packard. Out of respect for his birth mother's wishes, Jobs enrolled at Reed College in Portland, Oregon, after finishing high school.
I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and no idea how college was going to help me figure it out. And here I was, spending all of the money my parents had saved their entire life.
He quickly realized his overwhelming interest in electronics and promptly dropped out of college after only one semester. He returned to the Bay Area to start a job as a technician at Atari Incorporated, riding the initial wave of enthusiasm for video gaming.
So I decided to drop out and trust that it would all work out okay. It was pretty scary at the time, but looking back, it was one of the best decisions I ever made.
Jobs and Wozniak regularly attended meetings of the Homebrew Computer Club, founded to make computers more accessible to everyone. Wozniak had created a computer for his own use and demonstrated its capabilities to the Homebrew Club members. While Wozniak only had the vision of a hobbyist, Jobs saw business potential for Wozniak's handmade circuit board. Jobs convinced Wozniak to become his business partner, and Apple Computer was founded on April 1st, 1976.
It all came back to me, and we designed it all into the Mac. It was the first computer with beautiful typography. If I had never dropped in on that single course in college, the Mac would have never had multiple typefaces or proportionally spaced fonts. And since Windows just copied the Mac, it's likely that no personal computer would have them.
Jobs felt that there was a market for an assembled computer, one that would allow users to go beyond hardware design in order to explore programming. This vision led to the birth of personal computing when the Apple II computer was released in 1977. The Apple II computer was a huge success for Jobs. During its production lifespan, over 2 million units were sold, and it became the standard for personal computing, particularly in the educational market. The Apple II was extremely popular in businesses after the 1979 introduction of VisiCalc, the first software spreadsheet program. In December of 1980, initial public offering of stock in Apple Computer made Steve Jobs a multi-millionaire.
I was worth about over $1 million when I was 23, and over $10 million when I was 24, and over $100 million when I was 25. And it wasn't that important.
In 1981, IBM entered the personal computing market and began to offer real competition for the Apple II. Jobs poured time and resources into the evolution of a graphical user interface pioneered by Xerox PARC.
I was so blinded by the first thing they showed me, which was the graphical user interface. I thought it was the best thing I'd ever seen in my life. Now, remember, it was very flawed. What we saw was incomplete. They'd done a bunch of things wrong, but we didn't know that at the time. It's still, though, they had the germ of the idea was there, and they'd done it very well. And within, 10 minutes, it was obvious to me that all computers would work like this.
The early manifestation of this effort was a computer called Lisa, a technical success but a sales flop. It did, however, serve as a forerunner of Macintosh. Apple's early successes required an experienced business figure to lead the company. Jobs himself handpicked Pepsi executive John Scully to lead Apple.
And then he looked up at me and just stared at me with this stare that only Steve Jobs has. And he said, "Do you want to sell sugar water for the rest of your life? Or do you want to come with me and change the world?" And I just gulped.
I was lucky. I found what I loved to do early in life. Woz and I started Apple in my parents' garage when I was 20. We worked hard, and in 10 years, Apple had grown from just the two of us in a garage into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. We just released our finest creation, the Macintosh, a year earlier, and I just turned 30. And then I got fired.
What can I say? I hired the wrong guy.
That was Scully?
Yeah. And he destroyed everything I'd spent 10 years working for.
Jobs had to endure the tragedy of being fired from the very company that he had started 10 years before. Jobs said at the time, "I feel like somebody just punched me in the stomach and knocked all my wind out. I'm only 30 years old and I want to have a chance to continue creating things."
The turn of events at Apple had not changed that one bit. I'd been rejected, but I was still in love. And so I decided to start over. I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
After leaving Apple, Jobs pursued other interests both in computing and in graphical design. He purchased a digital imaging graphics group from Lucasfilm for $5 million and later renamed it Pixar.
The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about everything. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. During the next 5 years, I started a company named Next, another company named Pixar, and fell in love with an amazing woman who would become my wife. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking. Don't settle.
Now that it's all said and done, I can't believe you were the one to build me up and tear me down like an old abandoned house. What you said when you left just left me cold and out of breath. I fell too far, was in way too deep. Guess I let you get the best of me. Well, I never saw it coming. I should have started running a long, long time ago. And I never thought I'd doubt you. I'm better off without you. More than you know. I'm slowly getting closure. I guess it's really over. I'm finally getting better. And now I'm picking up the pieces. I'm spinning all of these years, putting my heart back together. Just the day I thought I'd never get through, I got over you. You took a hammer to these walls, dragged the memories down the hall, packed your bags and walked away. There was nothing I could say. And when you slammed the front door shut, a lot of others opened up. So did my eyes, so I could see that you never were the best for me. Well, I never saw it coming. I should have started running a long, long time ago. And I never thought I'd doubt you. I'm better off without you. More than you know. I'm slowly getting closure. I guess it's really over. I'm finally getting better. And now I'm picking up the pieces. I'm spinning all of these years, putting my heart back together. Just the day I thought I'd never get through, I got over you. Well, I never saw it coming. I should have started running a long, long time ago. And I never thought I'd doubt you. I'm better off without you. More than you know. Well, I never saw it coming. I should have started running a long, long time ago. And I never thought I'd doubt you. I'm better off without you. More than you know. I'm slowly getting closure. I guess it's really over. I'm finally getting better. And now I'm picking up the pieces. I'm spinning all of these years, putting my heart back together. Well, I'm putting my heart back together. 'Cause I got over you. I got over you. I got over you. 'Cause the day I thought I'd never get through, I got over you.
Truth be told, I never graduated from college.